We got a fantastic Wednesday podcast. I'm here, Coach Schumann. I have Coach D to my left, and we have our fantastic guest from St Anselm College, head coach, Coach Adam. It's exciting to have him on. He's really had a storied ride, bringing them to their best program record since 1999, most recently. But before that, Coach went to Grand Valley State. He was there as a coach there, and I think with Chip Kelly, if I'm not mistaken. And then was with Western Michigan. Then spent years with Elmhurst College, and where he's defensive. He ran defense. Then he was the head coach, and then at Syracuse as the offensive line coach, was there as well. And really, and then obviously now he's at St. Anselm and has really built up that program. One of the things that stuck out to me is really just the fantastic recruiting you guys have done in this area, especially in New Jersey, and really gotten some great players. So it's really been up from there. You're really building a fantastic program. So we want to welcome you to the podcast.
I appreciate having me on, guys. It's a blessing to be here with you guys today. And, the football in your area has been so vitally important to the ascension of our program. And it's been fun to have those guys up here and meet families and meet recruits. And it's just been a fantastic marriage from the start of this.
There's no doubt about it. Talk about kind of what got you into coaching football, and your rise, kind of some of the things you were thinking about as you're moving through your own process as a coach and bringing you up to today.
Yeah, I say this a lot. The pathway that I thought was one way, and then God had another plan for me. So I wanted to be an electrical engineer, and I was really good at that kind of stuff. The reality is I went to my first engineering class and decided that I wasn't going to be an engineer. I was like, hey, you guys all getting this stuff? And they're like, man, yeah, I love it. Ohms. And I'm like, man, this sucks. And, I'm not doing this for the next 40 years. So sometimes you have to fail to succeed. And that was my case. And I really, went back to my dorm room and I said, man, if I could do something for the rest of my life and get up and do it for free and really enjoy it, what would that be? Coach football. And so I immediately started coaching that next fall. And I'm about to open year 29 in college football, which it blows my mind because I'm not 50 yet. So, I got a lot of years behind me. I don't know if that is going to equate to anything, but it's been a fun ride, and I've had a tremendous amount of mentors and coaches along the way. I had a great high school football coach in the northern suburbs of Chicago, where I grew up in Skokie, Illinois. I worked for the winningest head coach in junior college history, John Elizik, who I still talk to, and he has been such an important person in my life as far as like believing in me as a young coach, and then continuing to give me more tasks as I got better. And and then all the different stops, some have been really cool and interesting places, and but you are where your feet are, and you do the best job of where you are in that given time. And so whether it's Division III, Division II, Division I, junior college, 1 year high school in the start. So it's been a lot of timing and a lot of luck. And so I've been very blessed to do what I do and impact people in a positive manner, hopefully throughout their life. And now I'm here being a head coach again, which I really enjoy. I enjoy calling the shots. I enjoy being the head and the face of the program. And then, kind of putting it together the way we want to do it collaboratively, which we have done here in the past. Really, in our last 4 years really started to rise. And so it wasn't always like this. This was a really hard start.
Yeah.
Question my sanity a little bit. And, but my faith sustained me, and I had tremendous support from my wife, the athletic director. And so for me, it's now fun to see the fruit of the labor. And I think anything that's worth something in life is going to have some adversity and it's going to have some challenges, and it makes it that much sweeter when you finally get to the end result. I don't know what that end result's going to be here at St. A's. We try to position ourselves in the best position we can, but at the end of the day, when my time is up here, I'm going to look back and say I definitely left it better than I found it.
No doubt about it. A lot of people don't understand Division Two. They kind of know what Division Three is. They know what FCS and FBS is a little bit more. But the two kind of worlds that I think people don't really understand, and they're somewhat similar, is Division Two and NAIA, right? So, talk about Division Two, because people, like if a kid doesn't get recruited, let's say by St. A's, right?
Yep.
They'll be like, I'm definitely a D2. Like they kind of like they don't realize the different levels, and why is the D2 school recruiting me type of thing? You know what I mean? Uh, it's there's always, and there's not as many of that. The NE10 is the big D2 conference in the Northeast, but there's not. You have more when you go out to like the Midwest and in different areas, but and West Virginia and those kind of places. But talk about D2 football and what that kind of is, what that world is really like.
Yeah, it's a great balance of a lot of things, like especially here at a place like St. A's. We're a high academic place, so that has become really important, especially to the guys in that area and to our overall recruits, because we recruit the country. This is not hobby football. This is scholarship football. And so what we're paying for is performance. And so if I'm giving a young man an athletic scholarship, there's an expectation to that, right? And depending on your position, I'm expecting you to make tackles. I'm expecting you to have reps, to quantify what I'm giving you athletically. And so at the D2 level, we can source this education out of three different buckets: your academic merit, your financial aid, and your football. And that's the difference. And so when you hear recruits, they're like, well, I'm this or I'm that. And, the one thing I've learned in our business is about marketplace. And so if you're a young man and you say, well, I'm a D1 talent, well, you might run a 4 this and you might jump a whatever this. Unless there's a Division I real scholarship behind it, you're not a Division I player. And that's really hard for young people to like grasp their head around.
And their parents as well.
Yes, this happens a lot. Like, man, I had all these verbal offers in the spring of this year, and then now none of them are real. Okay, well, that doesn't mean you're a FCS player yet, right? That means you don't have a committable offer. So we look at it, and so I've had it both ways, guys, where I think our roster is full of division FCS, maybe low FBS players who we found a niche and we have a great relationship with. And it's very deep, and it's a very deep connection, and it's not surface level. And that's why they're here, because they see the value of what we do here, and they see the value of what the return on investment from the college and our coaching is. I also have some guys that just need a little bit more coaching and development. And maybe they're a high level D3 kid who has some D3 places down in your area, but we're like, hey man, with a little bit of seasoning, this guy's going to become something. And so our roster is like filled with both of those type of players. And so when you say, okay, well, what's the difference? Well, Division I, when I was at, FBS, my tackles were all 6'6", now place like this, he might be 6'4", he might be 6'3". There is 10 million 6 foot, 190 pound linebackers out there in the country. So what makes you different? Like, Do you long snap? Do you have blitzability? Do you have quick feet? Can you burst to your drops and have some sense of underneath coverage? So we look at a lot of different factors. Camp is a huge evaluation tool for us because all it does is confirm what we think about them. And so, we watch everybody on tape. We have our process about evaluating guys. And then, it starts with the academics here. And that's first and foremost. Does he fit academically? Then does the tape match what we're looking for in the skill set? Or does he show enough as a junior that we want to see more of it? And then we try to get them and get them on campus for junior day or get a live evaluation if we can to confirm what we think about that guy and say, okay, yep, he's a no-brainer. He's a great fit for our schematics and what we ask our players to do. Or, hey, you know what? He's just not there yet. We might need the first 3 games of his senior year to really, confirm what we think. And so the cool part for us is that we're not a school that mass recruits. We don't recruit for quotas here. Nope. So I have to tell the school how many guys we're going to recruit here. And so our retention rate in the last 4 years, we have had a max capacity in our roster every fall the last 4 years. There is not a locker in that locker room that is open. And so our retention rate in football is actually higher than our college's retention rate, which is mind-blowing in the transfer portal world. So Absolutely. It tells me a couple of things. One, we're very transparent with what this is. When you come on campus, we don't sugarcoat anything, and we pour into the guys. And so, I think, and I've told this story here this off season, is I think people transfer for 2 different reasons. One is they feel lied to at the beginning, and it doesn't match what coach said, whether it be playing time or major or money or whatever it is. And the second being that they don't feel valued, and so we like to make sure everybody is valued here, no matter what their role is. And we're certainly transparent, probably a little bit too transparent in the process, but I'd rather have it that way because the guys that come here come on this campus and they leave here and they're like, man, I love that place. Where do I sign up?
I think that explaining and understanding, what it is, the level of players that there are in at Division II is such a big deal in helping them understand, what the level is. Because it's places like New Jersey where there's a lot of Division IIIs, and then you have Monmouth and at FCS, and then you have Rutgers, right, at FBS. There isn't a Division II school, if I'm not mistaken, right there. There isn't Division II.
Yeah.
So
you got Caldwell, which is sprint football, but that's totally sprint. People don't even look at that, even if it is scholarship or whatever it is. It's really it's Division III. It's Monmouth, Sussex Community kind of fighting with a JUCO, a little bit of a program there, but that's not really it. So it's literally D3, Monmouth, or Rutgers, and that's all you have in Jersey, right? And that's what it is for the state.
So for the state, for New Jersey recruits, that's what they're familiar with. So, and obviously New Jersey's a hotbed in the Northeast, at least for football recruiting, along with PA. So there's a lot of players there. So that part is important for them to understand, because once they understand, okay, there is another opportunity level that I can play at. There is a conference that might be higher than Division III that I can play at. There is scholarship opportunities at the Division II level. And I just know from parents all the time that ask me that they don't know. And then when they realize it, they're like, wow, especially when they go up by where you guys are, it really it's an eye opener for them. And then they're really excited about the opportunity. And I think that's a big part of it. Talk about how you guys approach recruiting and what kind of players you're looking for. And you talked a little bit about the process, but what does that prospect look like for you guys? And and what kind of profile is that person?
Sure. Obviously we talked about the academics being first and foremost. We're going to try and recruit kids at a 3.4 or higher, no less than the 3.0 core, because this school is difficult, and so anything that's worth anything, if it's easy, there should be red flags already. And so we're going to start there with the academic piece, and then it has to be some kind of two-way street. Like I ask prospects a lot, what are you looking for? Because looking for college is a lot like looking for a home. Everybody has some type of different want or desire. If you want a school with 20,000 students, well, this is not a good fit for you, right? And careful about major. I don't really talk major. I talk more about passion, because I learned that in my own life, right? Don't go into a major. Figure out what it is that you're studying that you really enjoy or that you're good at. And if you're lucky enough to get into something like that where you're good at what you won't work a day in your life. Kind of like me and the coaches. So, that's kind of the first part of this piece. And so there has to be interest on the other side of it. If we're going to continue to reach out to guys, and I think the mistake that young players make is like, well, I'm this, and they start to label themselves, and they say, well, I'm going to do this, or that's the only thought I can do, right? And then they don't answer us, or they don't respond back, and they don't create the connection, and they think that they can get back in November and December when we've already built our boards, and that's not going to happen. So it's becoming more rare and rarer to find new players in December, like the old days where 8-9 years ago. We've been to over 45 camps in the month of May and June. So
absolutely,
we've seen an abundance of people. So and that's an important piece. And so some of those guys that we've looked at have already signed with 1AAs. Some of those guys are going to be in our wheelhouse. Some of those guys are, like we said, maybe Division III or a little bit above that. We'll see how their senior year pans out, or they didn't test very well or well enough in the brackets that we saw to garner an early scholarship offer from us.
Right.
And so the cool part about this level that I will be a staunch supporter of is, we talk about paying for performance. Well, as your performance gets better at a place like this, and I don't know how everybody else does it, I'm going to actually review it and give you more. And so, this is not like the NFL first rounder that gets all this money and hasn't spent one snap on the field. If you come here and you prove that you're a starter, you're an all-in guy, you're a contributor, we will review that at the end of the season. And I mean, there's probably 16 to 18 players I've upped from last year's roster because this is real world. And if you do a good job in the real world, you get compensated for it. And that's a key component. The difference between Division II and Division III, it don't matter how good you do in Division III, your bill is only going to go up, because I guarantee you that cost of attendance is going to go up 3% every year. So
every year,
and that's just our business. So the cool part for me is to be able to offset that to help families out. We're not talking about life-changing money. It's not Division 1A, but it's another bucket to resource, for us. And so our application goes live on August 1st. We're going to really know who's really serious about us in those early days of August before we start camp. And who we've built relationships with over the last couple of months, as far as like who's serious about St. A's.
How do you manage that big board? So like at every level, there's like a different number of guys that go to per position to try and nail the number that they have to nail to get the players in. How do you guys manage that? Is that more transient? Do you have more guys on your board and then you've kind of whittle it down? How does that work?
Yeah. It's, I get this question a lot. Like, players ask, well, where am I on the board? I'm like, well, when I was at Division I, we had a board like that. Yeah. Here it's a little bit more fluid. And the board that we have there's guys we like and there's guys we don't. And if you're a guy we like, you're on the board. Now, where you fit on the board,
that's a different story.
It remains to be seen. I mean, so that's where you get to compare and contrast some things as we get a little bit tighter into the system. And so, we have started that already as far as like by each position coach. And then, it starts with us with the area coach first. That's why I have 2 guys in New Jersey. They will scour the area. They will work those camps. We obviously we have our satellite camps in Long Island and New Jersey for that reason. And
which that's an amazing thing too, Coach, by the way. Like, especially for where you are geographically and knowing what's worked for you or those types of areas, to be able to basically bring St. A's to a state and hit on that, because there are situations where guys can't get there, or you know what I mean? Like, you're just making it more convenient, and you're making it as easy as possible for those kids to get in front of you, which obviously adds to the more positivity of the whole situation, right? So to bring that to, and it's, St. A's camp in New Jersey, St. A's camp on Long Island, right? It's your staff, your coaches, and then to supplement that with other guys from other schools now adds that different mix of, look, we want this here to get these guys that we have, but also if we say these guys will be there, we may get other guys that now, we got to get this guy out. Like, who is that kid? You know what I'm saying? Like, I just think that's a different level of something that you do differently that other places do, that you have the ability to do, that you're willing to do, right? Because some guys aren't going to do that. They got to get here. We need them here. Your process is let's get those guys in front of us. And then if they are what we think they are, then we get them up to campus, right? Like, so that process in itself, Coach, is something that, separates you guys from the others.
Yeah, we're going to continue to do that. And I love going down there and coaching, and so it gives me a great perspective. I get to see body types, I think recruiting has changed so much, like the going to 5 to 7 schools a day. I think there is some merit in some certain areas to that, but if I get the transcripts, like, I really want to see what the young man is all about and what he is athletically and what his coach thinks about him and so on and so forth. And so that allows us to have another just evaluation tool. And we're going to continue that. And we'd like to, it's big enough to where the other teams and can get some exposure as well, obviously, because we have partners and we're not trying to hold anybody hostage, but it's not a mega camp either. And I'm not a huge mega camp guy. It's really hard for me to evaluate, like, at those places.
More intimate. Like when you guys do it, it's intimate. Look, there's a lot of kids. Don't get me wrong. There's a shit ton of kids there, and there's other coaches there as well, not from your staff, but it doesn't have the mega camp vibe of lines that are, guys are getting too, and who's this and who's that. It's very intimate. We know the names of the kids that are coming on here, right? Like, we're not flipping through, mega kids, like, they're, you get a stat, and hey, here's all the guys coming. You're like, what the he's got this number, he's in this color, he's this, like, it's just way too much. Not even just for you, like, for the kids themselves too. Now you don't get a true evaluation because they're worried about how long the line is, or, and am I going to get a rep, or my information's wrong, that's my dad's name, this is my name. It's like, it's just too much craziness. Yours is that healthy balance of big enough but also intimate enough where the kids feel a different type of comfort level of, this guy actually knows who I am, or I'm getting the reps that mom and dad paid for and whatnot. So I think it's really something that's awesome. I saw it firsthand here in Jersey. I'm sure Long Island is very much like that as very well. Much. And it's just something that separates you guys, and it really does. It stands out. And parents recognize that as well, because feedback to, hey, St. Anselm did it like this. That was awesome, right? We went to this mega camp and it was this, right? So the feedback on all levels, I mean, from high school coaches, from parents, it's a positive thing across the board, and it separates you guys, because I don't know many other people that do it like that.
Yeah, we want to be highly organized. And so, and we're mindful of, there is a cost to this. And, we want the kids to get something out of it. We want to get something out of it. We want the parents to get something out of it. So I think at all levels, and again, trying to attack as many reps as we can and making those guys better, maybe giving them a couple drills that they may utilize throughout the summer. Because like when I coach the linebackers, what I'm doing is taking them through our individual. This is the same stuff my guys do. And so, I've gotten great feedback from kids like, man, coach, I really appreciate you working with me. And this gave me a new perspective on, maybe to do this in a tracking drill and in a tackling situation. And so that's the stuff that you want to try and, that's the byproduct of it while you're doing the evaluation and the competitive piece.
No doubt about it. It's recruiting is a tricky animal now with all different things. I'm sure sitting in Division II land with respect to transfers, you get people from both sides, right? Moving up and moving down, right? Talk about that impact and how you kind of evaluate those prospects.
Yeah. So, I think the first thing we look at is, was this a young man that we recruited in the previous cycle? Okay. And more importantly, guys, how did it finish? Because if it didn't finish well, I don't care if any of the coaches come to me. If there's a level of disrespect,
right,
I'm not interested. And so
right away.
If right away. So, if the young man handled it correctly and said, hey, I'm going to school B, appreciate you guys. Like, okay, well, hey man, if it, and I say, hey, awesome, great, great decision. I'm not like that. I'm not that kind of guy where I'm going to get you on the phone and start yelling at you.
Yeah.
I just say, hey, you know what? If it's not what you thought it would be, or it doesn't work out, or, there's a coaching change, like, and you feel like you're going to hop in the portal, then when you get in there, you contact us. Great. But if we spend all this time recruiting a guy and, we find out on Twitter or he texts us, to me, those are foolish plays. And, and so we try to coach those guys in those situations and tell them like, hey, do things the right way. And so, like I said, if it's a guy that we've recruited and it didn't work out, okay, I'm going to open up that door and see if there's a pathway for getting them back here. And so it happened 2 cycles ago with a wide receiver I recruited from Florida. We couldn't make the finances work in the first year. He ended up going to another Division II school. Totally disliked it. We had a relationship. He went to the portal. I said, hey, some of the Jenga towers, as I call it, in the financial world have changed. And so we were able to make some things work. And now he's been here for the last 3 semesters. So we have more luck with guys at the mid-year than we do after the spring, just because of our recruiting and because I don't know about any other NA10 team, but we don't have any visits after signing day here. In fact, we've started to cut the last visit before signing day because we've been so far ahead. And that's a little bit different than I would say most, because we're not really working too much on the weekend here in February. So as far as visits, and like the Division III schools would. So, but that we're going to look at areas of where we need to get better and where we have some challenges, and then we'll address those via either, do we have that currently in our program, or are we going to get to that point, or do we need to make a change right now and go and get that kid? And so I like the mid-year player because it allows us to work with him in strength conditioning throughout the winter months and get acclimated to our systems. So that has been hugely beneficial, whether it's a prep school, a transfer. We've had 2 early high school enrollees now, and you're going to see more and more of that.
Yeah.
And so especially in certain states, like I recruit Florida, a lot of those seniors have like 1 class and they're like, what am I doing? Like hanging out,
right.
And going
Getting
home
more
at like
trouble.
11 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the morning, I go to 1 class and then like my day's done, come up here and start balling. and put yourself in position to play in the fall, because it's really hard to come in as a true freshman in a fall camp and play in a fall camp.
Oh God, yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially now here.
Your head's spinning. Like there's just so much thing. You're getting acclimated to being away at school. Then you have a class load. Now you're at practice. Like it's a lot, right? Like it is a lot. Whereas if you can get spring semester to get all of those things out of the way, sprinkle in a little bit of football, right, while you're getting acclimated to being away and going to class and doing all those kind of things now. And you also gives you a key, like, where's my role? Like, how am I going to fit into this as it is? Because that's a huge adjustment as a freshman, right? Like, you've always been the man. Now you're not the man. Like, what am I doing playing scout teams? Like, what do you mean I got to hold a bag? Or, you know, why am I in a different color jersey? Like, that's a big adjustment that you can now get out of the way in spring. And, you know, all right, now I've been through a semester. Now I'm coming in. I have all of summer to know what I need to work on, how I need to do it. I'm going into camp. I know the installs, like for the first, like, you know, it's just, it's a more comfortable feeling. And that's what I love about like this, even the high school that I'm at now in Jersey has semester courses, which if you do it the right way, you could factor into, yes, I can graduate mid-year and go if I want to. I don't have those players yet. I'm getting it. We'll get there. But just that's on the table, like that's a big thing. And we talk about this on the show all the time, Coach, like geographically where you are and what school you go to state-wise, even within the states, north, south, wherever it is, central as we're called, which I don't know if it's a thing, but I guess it is. Does my high school allow that? Or are my guidance counselors even on that track? Like, do they know that? Do high school coaches, you know, because that used to be like, hey, I mean, the private schools or in the Catholic school, like that's been a thing, right? I mean, you know, DePaul Catholic had 4 players that left mid-year and were on opposite sidelines in the championship game when they should still be going to class. You know, what class am I in? You know, so that's been a thing. And like you said, I think it's going to be more of a trend where it's allowed, because if there's one thing COVID showed, it's like, hey, you can still do school and not have to actually be in school. Right. So you can learn more. It's definitely going to be a thing. And we look at a lot of the academic institutions that we talk to and the coaches from those places, to get guys mid-year is usually more of a challenge because of the school itself, or, you know, whatever that is. But now, like that would help those guys get acclimated to that high academic type of situation.
Sure.
Where you're at. I mean, the academic schools, and like I said, before we got on about Coach McCran and Colgate, like they're dealing with a different type of athlete, right? Because that academic side of it, you know, what do you guys kind of have in place at St. A's to kind of help that and you know, help those guys with that transition and whatnot?
Yeah, getting a guy here and getting him on solid ground and building some confidence, I think, is a really key component to future success, you know, really on the football field and in life and in the classroom. So what we do here is very unique, I would say. There's a couple pieces. Number one, we do have a study space that's right outside my office. I do not wholeheartedly believe in team study hall. I think that's crazy. I think putting 30 football players in a room and saying study with a young coach that acts like the warden is idiocy. That's just me
like
speaking
cafeteria time.
Yes.
It's like recess. It's recess. Yeah. It's what it is. It's detention is what it is. Actually, it's detention.
Yeah. It's like, it reminds me of like the in-school suspension when you go in and see like one of the assistant coaches when you're in the high school. So I don't do that. We do it a little bit differently. We have study space. We ask the guys to drop their phones. They spend an hour in that study space. There's no talking. The last day on Thursdays, you got to get 4 hours within between Sunday and Thursday. And the last day, you can't take any screens in there. So it's got to be old school book or paper. And then we meet with each one of our young players every week academically as position coaches. We are very involved in their life, and I want to see them succeed as men. Remember, what we're doing here, guys, is we're building men with the platform of football. And so we have to build these guys into the best that they can become. Part of it's the accountability piece that we provide, but it also gives me a sense of, okay, where is this young man at? Where are the trends in his class? Where is he falling short? We have direct contact with the Academic Resource Center. So I can say, hey, if I've got player A who's really struggling on the last test, and is it a content issue? Is it a is it a study issue? I can pick up the ARC phone and say, hey, I'm sending this guy up here, and they can get peer tutoring pretty much like 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and they just fit into their schedule. And so football is not the reason why you struggle academically. I totally believe that, and football should be the driver and the framework of what helps you academically. And so we look for guys that can juggle things, and guys that have self-awareness in the recruiting process and are task-driven people. For example, if I ask you to fill this out for your official visit or whatever it is, or if I have to ask you multiple times to do things, well, then how do I expect you to go to class every day? How do I expect you to fill the B gap when you're supposed to fill the B gap consistently? So it's a consistency piece. And, I believe in consistency over intensity. So we help those guys out. And that's why there's very little attrition here, as well as, I'm not saying they're all, 3.8 or higher, but we do get guys here that maybe have started in a hard place, but now they're moving in the right direction. And then it's just a matter of time if it's a really aware kid, just like in the football field, right? When the light bulb goes off, as a coach, you never know when that happens, but you just keep pouring into them, keep filling the bucket every day. And that's what we do here, guys, in a number of different ways, athletically, spiritually, academically, and financially, obviously.
And the campus is a smaller campus, right? It's like 2,000 students or somewhere in that range, right?
Yeah, it's 2,300 now. We just had our largest freshman class in school history.
Okay.
So there's not a bed on campus either.
Right.
So,
that'll change, Coach. Before you know,
there's land to build out in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
I guess so. Well, this is like a top 5 hottest housing market in the country right now, because
is it
nice?
Yeah, we're 60 miles north of Boston.
Right.
So
that's
I can get to Boston
jerseys,
Logan, guys.
Yeah.
I can get to Boston Logan in 45 minutes if it's not in the middle of traffic. That's easy. Manchester, downtown Manchester, is 2.5 miles from campus. Like, I want to be at a place where if I need to go out to take my wife to eat, or a Walmart or a steakhouse, like, it's right here.
Right.
I don't want to drive 30 minutes to something. You got the beach, which is 40 minutes to the east of us. You got the White Mountains and the hiking trails, which is less than an hour north. Yep. So, like, it fits a lot of different personalities.
Yes.
And especially in your state, you could be from Jersey, you could be from City, Jersey, you could be from South Jersey, and be like, hey, you know what, my area is a little bit more rural. I'm more of this guy. But it does feel we have a very much a community campus here, and 94% of the students live on campus all 4 years, which is very unique. And we're very much a community campus, not a commuter campus. And so, they build relationships here. The O-line can get together and go for 50-cent wing night. Yep. They can do all these things. And so we feel like we're positioned with a great looking stadium, really nice facilities for Division II.
Great facilities.
We feel like we are not, as I say in recruiting, there are high academic schools who don't care anything about football. You can walk on their campus and you can ask their students, and they're like, we got a football team.
Right.
Seriously, because it's not important. Then you have football factories where 2.0 gets you in the building. All right. And so, but like, the academic support is not there. All right. And there's plenty of those too. I'm not saying that that's good or bad. That might work for them. But we are proving now that you can be a high academic place and play a high level of football. So where are the other places that do that? Well, a Duke comes to mind, a Stanford at the bigger levels. That's really kind of what we're talking about here.
Right. Those are the kids that you're targeting. So you have a higher level of chance of success with them when they're on your campus and getting through the program, which is a big part. And New Hampshire, obviously, like you said, it's a beautiful state. I mean, New England is beautiful.
Gorgeous.
When you go up there, especially for kids that are not from New England,
right?
When they go up there and they actually see it, they're like, "Whoa," you know what I mean? So it's one of those.
Like I'm sure you're a Florida guy, Coach.
Well, I did the same. I'm originally from Chicago, so when I bring the Florida and Texas guys up here, like they do the same thing. They're like, man, like the website doesn't do it justice. And I mean, we just built a $35 million health science and nursing building. We're adding 80 more dorm spots. I mean, there's been construction here almost every year off season I've been here,
which is also a really amazing thing for when some people are like, oh, they're always under construction. That means that you're going in the right direction, right?
Yeah.
Like it's very comparable to like where I finished at Montclair State, right? It used to be a commuter school. Everything was a parking lot. Now you go there and everything constantly under construction because it's what they have to do to build and grow. And look, even just like word of mouth about like you get success in an area where kids now go to a school, like going from New Jersey to New Hampshire, and you get a player that goes up there and he has great success, whether it be because he's a really good player, but he goes up there and, hey, I could have gone to this school, but I chose here because of this. And that feedback to now his teammates or other guys within the conference or the division, hey, I'm going to take a look here. Now it's okay. Like now it's a legit, like there's not a guy I talk to that's like, yeah, well, St. Anselm, right? Because they've seen other guys who they compare to go there, have success, and give them positive feedback. Like, dude, I looked at all those schools you were talking about and doing whatever, but this place is different. And it's like, they're setting me up, not only on the field. It's the off the field stuff in this world with these kids, like to have guys talking about, well, coach, I got an internship that's already this, or I already know a guy that went there that's I've already talked to about down the road, this is what's going to happen. That is to me that when the nuts and bolts of it and everything settles, football is great, yeah, but this is what's going to set you up. Like St. Anselm checks all those boxes that people say, oh, well, it's a sleeping giant. Not for much longer, buddy. Like it is the tail end of like people know who they are, and this is what's coming for you, dude. So it's really awesome to see that. And
yeah,
like you said, like the campus itself.
Stay true to our plan. And I don't worry about any other NE10 team. I don't worry about any FCS team.
No.
We recruit what we believe in here wholeheartedly. We have a process. The last part of it ends with me as far as I have to make all the scholarship decisions. The coaches are the advocates for the players. And that's why it's so important to have a relationship with your area and recruiting coach, because those guys are going to come into my room and say, okay, this is why he's a guy for us. And so I don't make scholarship decisions based off of any other schools, nor do we really care about their timelines either. We have our timeline and it's going to fit. And I think there's a lot of coaches out there that come in and say, okay, well, who's offered them?
Right.
Well, like do your due diligence and look at the fit for yourself, because I can list off hundreds of players that have other offers at other places that don't fit here. And
correct.
So, and so for us, we've just stayed true to who we are and in being transparent with the guys and like I said, serving them, pouring into them. And I think that the best advertisement is when you have New Jersey parents who are graduating and I see them at graduation and they're like, Coach, if you have any New Jersey people that are interested, like, and you want us to reach out or you want us to talk about our experience here,
hell yeah,
like, just let me know. And that is, if that doesn't tell you that you can trust your child with us, 4 to 5 hours away, that should speak volumes.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. Obviously, the word of mouth is a big deal. I have one final question. What does camp look like for you guys? How is your process there? How do you kind of structure everything now? From
you mean camp? Coming into fall camp now?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's we practice very uniquely here. Maybe differently than a lot of places do it. So what we do is we have a 3-day on model and 1 day off. And so each of the 3 practices has a different tempo to them and different as far as like how much time we're spending on the field. Okay. So we don't have a cookie cutter practice plan to say, okay, all right, we have individual, we have this, we have 7-on-7. So we're going to build it slowly and then have the test day be the last day. So for example, our teaching day is day 1, where we're going to have more on-field teaching. We're going to have more decision-making, and we want to take our time in putting in those concepts so the kids understand it and feel fluid with it as much as possible. The second day of that install, we're going to basically go at each other, right? Block and block destruction, horizontal spaces, screen game, those types of things. And then the third day, we are legitimately going to go half field back to back with as many players and as many reps as possible, because that's the test day. That's the day where we don't want you to think. We want you to take what you've learned the first 2 days and just let it rip and let it go. And so if you stayed here for 3 days, you would see 3 different practices. And so we structure it, we build our lift times in on that third day. And then when we give our players the day off, I want them off their feet because they have to recover for the next day. So a lot of people will go like 6 days straight and then take a 7th day off. In that model, doing it for 20 years beforehand, you're just trying to survive, and your players' legs are dead, and they're just trying to get through the 6 days to get to the 7th day. So we build it in. We're going to practice for 3 hours. Now we do it differently. I bring all the first year players and the redshirt freshmen out first for the first 40 minutes, and they get their own individual, and it allows us to work with them individually, at least for the first week. It's harder on our coaches.
Awesome.
But like, you know what, you want to give if you say in recruiting, you have an opportunity to compete, you have to provide an opportunity to compete. You can't just be, words. So we give them their own individual, their own 7-on-7, their own inside run. We film it. Then we bring the veterans out, and then those young kids are going to get the double dose now of individual, and they're just going to keep chasing reps to try to create mastery. And so, will they get a ton of team reps in that second part of practice? No, but we want to make sure that they get they are valued here and they get developed, and they're not just coming here to be a number. So we'll go through that, and then we're in for about 10 days, and then orientation shows up, and then before you know it, we're in school, and we normally practice from 6 to 8 or 4 to 6 at night. And so we practice for 2 hours, and it's fast tempo, and there's never any walking on the field. And so again, we're utilizing a lot of different methods. We have go routes for us on defense, which we don't use cards anymore. Ever. Yeah, and we're using a bunch of different modes of teaching for our kids. So if you ask me globally, our day starts at 7 a.m. with breakfast, and it finishes at 8:30 at night with our walkthrough. So it's a lot of football. I love it. I love this time of the year, because I just get to do this, and we get to teach, and we get to have our meetings. And I don't have a meeting that is over 30 minutes ever, because these kids, they have 5,000 notifications on their phone. So they need the dopamine hit every 30 minutes. So I give them the dopamine hit, and then they get back, and we get back to work.
That sounds awesome.
Love it, Coach. That sounds so. I mean, that's just awesome. Like you're understanding what your players need to get most out of it. I love the idea of separating the younger guys. It's the same. Look, in the NFL, they bring in the rookies and the free agent signings earlier to camp than the other guys, right? Like they get a couple days before structuring it that way where the attention to detail, they're not just wrapped up in the pace of practice and the older guy is this and the older guy, they're getting their own thing, staying true to what you've said in transparency in terms of you're going to get to compete. They're now getting the opportunity. And it goes back to the whole retention, right? Why do guys transfer? Because they feel like they were lied to. Well, coach told me I had the chance to compete. Why am I only getting one rep? Like, that's just what it is. So it's just very different, right, Dave? I mean, we've never heard of the three. Like, that's awesome. The structure of it, the day like off, that. Right?
The rest is
the rest is huge. I mean, Dave, you're just there. Recovery is huge. Like,
as coaches, we
camp legs.
We all
not existent in St. Anselm.
We grew up just trying to grind. I think the point that you make is a really, really valuable point. And I think more of it's starting to come to light from that standpoint, because you see in the NFL, they're big. Obviously, everything's big with recovery. Even obviously Division I college, like you're seeing that as a much bigger thing, and emphasis on speed. But yeah, like it used to be, like you don't want your guys just trying to survive. How are they going to get better when they're just trying to think? I mean, going back to when I played, I mean, 3 days you were doing, you literally.
Oh my God!
By the end of the first day, you were already in survival mode.
Yes,
already. You're just trying to keep your head above water. Like, oh my God, you're just treading. Like, God help me, right?
Yeah,
like,
you look over your players. You're like, hey, how are your legs after day 4? And they're like, oh, it's just shot, because wide receivers are running 10,000 routes, and
exactly.
There's nothing you can do, and you even more importantly is me as the head coach. I think about how does it affect our assistant coaches. Then you look at the assistant coaches, and like they're cashed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, you're not gonna be the best teacher you can be. You're not gonna bring the energy that I need you to bring to the field every day. So a lot of this is within the mindset of how do I, as a head coach, extract the very best out of my assistants. And so if those guys are tired, they're not going to be great teachers. If those guys are overtaxed, they're not going to do a great job building relationship. So I have to design this so that they feel refreshed as well. And they're not beaten down.
It's about performance, because it becomes it becomes a thing. Well, after practice, now they're going to go talk to the players, as opposed to thinking, okay, how can I jump in the shower as a coach, right?
Right.
Can I get myself in the ice bin myself, because I'm 50 years old, and standing on the field for 2 hours, 2.5 hours over and over again is killing me, right? So you don't want them in survival mode either. And obviously player-wise, you're keeping them healthy, right? So I mean, there's you probably know Lyndon Johnson from heard of him from he coached for a long time. I don't know where he's at now, but he was there was these when I came to UConn. There were these stories about Lyndon Johnson. He was their best offensive tackle. He was played before me. He was like late 80s, I think, maybe early 90s, and they used to talk about how he would hold himself out of practice.
Mm-hmm.
And, in those days, you're like, oh, my God, this guy was lazy, right?
Right.
But really what it was he was preserving his body, and he would basically participate in one practice each day.
And ahead of the curve.
I say now this guy was ahead of the curve. He was, like 3 or 4 time all Yankee conference or whatever. And like he was ahead of the curve, Lyndon Johnson, but nowadays that's obviously becoming the norm. Help them perform at the highest level they can, and then help them recover. That's the key. So pretty cool stuff. I love hearing how coaches do things. Like I'm very on board with that. We're kind of like subscribed to. I don't know if you've heard of Tony Holler and his football track consortium, where we've learned a lot of stuff as far as like speed development and recovery, and we've had a lot of those guys on, and it was just it's opened our eyes as far as how to we wanted guys to perform at the highest level. And I was just telling, because I now coach, I coached high school for 20 years. I now I coach my son's group, at the youth level, and I tell those guys, because all of them are learn from whatever they did in high school, which is more old school. And I send them, hey, like, here's where you got to go and understand how things are now. It's about speed. I said, if you look today's, there's more high school kids that run under 10 seconds in the 100-meter dash than ever. I mean, there's multiple guys each year, and it's because guys are learning more how to get better performance versus just, working them to death. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think that's the thing. And, it's like, I try to teach my kids. It's like, when we go, I don't need you to go 100 times and half-ass it.
Right.
I need you to go 2 or 3 times full
Hard.
speed correctly and nail it. If you nail it, then you rest in between, and then we'll get you off the field till we get to the next activity, right? And that's what I want you to focus on, nailing it. If you're going through the motions, then nobody's getting anything out of it. You might you're just basically running. You might as well join the cross country team. So
yeah, 2 things I changed. We don't condition in practice. The practice is our conditioning, and our guys have come in great shape, and so we haven't had to do that. And then that's one thing. And then really the second thing is giving them that rest. We do also talk about the young players. I think we're the only NE10 team now that has 2 JV games as well.
Amazing.
Again, I want to coach these guys,
awesome.
man. I want to develop them. I want my younger coaches to be able to develop their coaching acumen. Because my job as a head coach is to graduate players and coaches. And so, I think if everybody has a piece of the vision, that's been kind of a little bit of the secret sauce here as far as that goes. And so, I mean, even 10, 15 years ago, we were still teaching tackling with head across finish. And some guys still do that. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but we're a near foot, near shoulder tackling team now. I think if you ever said that 20 years ago, people would be like, oh, that's crazy. I mean, that's blasphemous.
Yes.
And so,
that's not what we do.
So you're always, one thing I know in coaching, and every year is different. I'm always adapting. I'm always trying to find angles. I'm trying to find different ways to do things, different ways to teach things, different ways to put our players and the coaches in the best position possible. So like, I'll have a shell frame of what we do every year, but like, I'm going to say, okay, well, is this drill better? Is this teaching way better? Have we considered this? I like to listen to my staff. I won't maybe implement everything, but I'm going to give them an opportunity to speak, right? Because maybe they have something that I haven't thought about. And so, like I said, this collaborative effort, guys, and we're only going to get to where we want to get to together.
I think that's an important thing. And I think the young coaches too need that collaborative effort to be able to understand, and they're more because they come from more of a world where their phones are a big deal, and so getting them in and getting them talking and sharing ideas is a big thing, because they're all on their phone looking for new ways to do things and watching YouTube, and you're able to corral them and say, hey, this is valid for these reasons, right? And it's important, especially today with social media. I see so many crazy things on like trading, and it's
it's ridiculous. I'm like, what are we doing here?
Well,
what are we doing?
I don't know what how does that equate to you being a better football player? Like, I'm not 100%. Too sure about that. Like, when I, as a 29-year veteran, am looking at it, and I'm like, because I have a running joke with Coach Brain over here, and like, he'll send it back and forth to me. I'm like, dude, I go, what are these guys doing? He's like, I don't know, man. I go, if you have some like fancy handle and some fancy marketing, I guess you can be a guru. So, the training world has taken over. I get that. I know everybody has their own trainer, and that's fine. But like, if you ask the guys that are really good in our profession, they do what they do, and they do it consistently.
Absolutely.
And so, and they, you don't need I can speak to myself, my own position group at linebacker. I don't have a drill book of 45 linebacker drills.
Right.
We have like 8 that we do consistently that models what I see in the game. And we're chasing mastery. And so that's what we're trying to do. And I've been blessed to have a first and second team all conference linebacker each of the last 4 years.
No doubt.
And I love that, coach, by the way, that you still coach as the head coach of position. That's, to me, that's awesome, because
it's crazy.
I mean, but I just
I'm
love
coaching
it
on special teams too, man. It's not like special teams. I'm walking around. Chad's got me on the left side of punt. I'm like over there with Coach Dick. In the PAT team, and I'm like, all right,
get after it.
Race foot, yeah. I mean, I've coached every position in my life, and I've coordinated on both sides. So I think I have global knowledge of a lot of different things.
Well, Swiss Army knife, but also like as the team, as a player, to now see my head coach getting down and dirty. Like, to me, that's the best leader. A guy that sometimes, I use the line, like, sometimes you got to pick up a shovel, right? To show these guys, like, buddy, I might be like, my name's on this, but I'm also here. Like, get that foot where it needs to be, right? Not just sitting there swinging the whistle, telling guys like, you're in it. And it also gives your staff a level of, look, I know my head coach is getting after it. Like, I better keep getting after this shit too to keep going. And I think that's just, it's such a different way when we look at a lot of these guys, because it's always like they're ascending to be the head coach that can now almost take a step back. Also with the added duties of what a head coach actually is now in terms of all the off the field stuff that head coaches, like, you still now get your fix of coaching. Right. Yeah. Which to me will allow you to coach a lot longer than some of these other guys, because they're not getting that fix anymore. Look at Chip Kelly, for example. Guy was a head coach and is like, I think I just want to call plays. Like,
correct.
Well, I think what you do is great is that you lead based off of what your personality is. You know what I mean? I think that's the biggest thing, that you're true to yourself. Like, there are guys that don't coach a position. I brought Nick Saban because he's just like you were. Like, he had to go in there and do DB drills. Like, that's who his personality is. And I think players enjoy their head coach staying true to his personality, whatever that personality
is. Yep.
Yep, yes. Whatever. Guys are all different, Some guys like to call plays, some guys don't. Some guys want to be the CEO. Some guys, want to get in there and when you're true to your personality, kids recognize that, and
they see right through it, right?
And enjoy it.
See it.
They enjoy it, and I think they talk about those kind of things, because other than that, they're buried in their phones outside of that part of it. So.
No doubt.
Which definitely has taken me a long time to adapt to the fact that like had nothing to do with my me. It had to do with that's just their world, So
it is a lot of dead scrolling, and trust me, there's a lot of life lessons we teach in our team meeting rooms about what you consume. I'm very much from a mental performance as well, trying to set these guys up for success. So we talk about what do you consume on game day? What are you consuming? An hour before the game, 2 hours before the game. I've seen guys cash their whole performance because they can't get locked in, and they're messing around in Instagram and all the other jazz, and they're not paying attention. And so we have a very finite way of how we do it. We help and walk the players along through it to create their plan and their model. And, I think it's worked really well for guys to get, locked in mentally, whether they're controlling their breathing, using visualization, but having a plan. And so that will be my first meeting. It's like, okay, right. So you have practice at 8:30 the next day. Like, what is your plan? Hour and a half out, write it, script it out, and hold yourself accountable to it. Because if you look in the NFL, that's what real life dudes do.
Yeah, that's a great point. Because once you know what your timeline is to get locked in, and I'm big, and I've learned a lot of this because obviously I'm not from that generation. But like, if you're playing games, let's say you're playing, on your phone, you're playing games or you're scrolling, and that's taking your vision off, and you're doing this right up until 20 minutes before you go on the field. Like, that's
literally the last thing they do. Like, they don't even run out of that tunnel. Yeah.
Right. It could create a certain amount of negative tension for yourself that affects your performance. Now, there's some people that maybe it doesn't, but the majority of kids, it creates this level of dopamine extraction and that depletes them almost by the time they get into the field.
Correct.
Like, hour and a half, 2 hours away from your game, try to put that stuff aside, start your process to lock yourself in.
Yep, dial in.
Whether it's resting, whether it's meditating, whether it's closing your eyes, whether it's stretching, whatever, being, getting taped up, whatever it is you have to do, but staying away from that stuff to get yourself, or music, maybe it's music, right?
Right.
But to get yourself in that mode, to get yourself locked in, I think that's great that you do that from a mental standpoint, because that I think you're right. Like, they don't even realize that it could affect them. They don't,
because it's what they've always done. Right,
right.
Dave? That's always been their process. And now,
you want dopamine depletion before you play.
Right, yeah, let's do that. We only got one chance to play, right?
Right.
We practiced for 7 days, and we got 6 days, we got one chance to play.
Yeah, and we didn't,
screwing it up.
That wasn't something, we didn't have to deal with that because our phones were in our locker, or, and Dave, and we talk about this all the time.
I didn't have a phone.
My generation, right, of graduating in the early 2000s, college was finishing pre-2010. I'm right in that, coming into this modern world that we're in right now, but still a little bit of old school, where it was like split down the middle. Like, half of my guys went one way, half went another. And then getting into coaching at that time of the tail end of old school, but now new school, like, it's a different world. And for some of the older school coaches, like, they don't grasp that aspect of it, that these guys won't respond to that, or these guys are way more aware of taking care of themselves in very different facets of, it's not just a cold tub, or it's not just treatment. Like, to them, going in a cold tub, like, showed weakness. Like, dude, what are you worried about your legs for? Like, just tough it out. Like, no, there's now science and numbers that back this, where it's real data like that you can look at to be like, this is how we have to do things to get the most out of it. So to have that happy level of balance, and the fact that you guys bring all of that to the players and say, look, this is something we focus on here, just adds another level of the way you do it is your way, and it shows in the results of the trend that your program.
I gotta tell you, that's so interesting that would have never dawned on me before. So when I go to the gym, and this kind of just tells you how more the kids are like now. I go to the gym and I go to Lifetime Fitness, and they have sauna, hot, whatever, the steam, all that stuff, right? 20 years ago, old guys were in there. That's the only people that were in there, old guys, my age and above, 50 and above, right? And that's who was in there. I'm telling you, the majority of guys that are in there are in their 20s.
Yep.
I've seen, I think I told Derek this, high school football players in there, okay, in the sauna, like after their workout or after their lift or whatever, or going into the ice, not the ice, but the cold plunge.
Right.
And that was so surprising to me. They were the majority of people in there. They were much more, because they watch all the videos on it. They watch Joe Rogan. Of course. And they all are doing this stuff. And, and I want to be like, you probably won't need any of this until about 20 years from now.
Yeah, right.
But it's good you're ahead of the curve.
You're ahead of the curve.
They're all in there. They're all in there. Like, but it's really, really interesting in that part, because, I mean, for the longest time, that was something that old guys did. They went to the sauna, they got a steam, that was like a kind of a country club aspect, not like your everyday person aspect. And I think that's changed. And that's one of the changes that's probably for a good thing. They're taking care of their bodies and
Totally.
So it's really
it's good for the mental health side of it, like all that. You know what I'm saying?
That's the best part about being a football coach. You see all this change.
Yes,
trends.
You see it, and you're like
it's cool. It's cool to watch when your players take ownership and they're like, you know what, I'm taking the coaching, and some of the guys like in camp will go to will come down to the stadium, or they'll go to the gas station and like they'll fill their tub with ice. They're out there rolling before after our walkthrough at night, and so they're taking all those procedures and they're taking all the tools in their toolbox and they're using the tools. And that's a cool thing for me to see as a head coach, because you're like, okay, there's some buy-in here. And I say from a leadership perspective, we have tremendous leaders here. And the analogy I give, for our team is that I am the guy as the head coach that has to make the Gatorade, the Kool-Aid every day. Okay. So I got one of these big barrels, visually of Kool-Aid. That's the messaging. All right. And so I mix that Kool-Aid on a daily basis. And then I go to my 9 leadership guys who span from senior to freshman. And then I give them and I fill those cups and I say, okay, what's it taste like? And I get feedback and they say, Coach, it's right on point, or, hey, too much sugar, too much water, whatever it is. And then if it's on point, their job is to disperse the cups to the rest of the team. And that is how our messaging works here.
It's amazing.
And so, we are lock in step and vertical alignment in how we want to do things, in the way we want to do it, have a sense of blue collar mentality, which is our motto here. And our guys wholeheartedly believe in it.
Well said. Great way to end the podcast.
Awesome.
Fantastic stuff, Coach. Best of luck this season, and hopefully we'll talk to you soon. As maybe when you get to the end of your season, or after the season, we'll get a recap in there, and keep on plugging away. It's awesome what you're doing, Coach, and it's been a pleasure having you on.
Thanks, guys, and have a blessed day and continue to thrive.
Thanks, Coach. You. Appreciate you.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Bye. Great pod, dude. That was awesome. A lot
of good stuff.
Really great stuff.
It's all good, dude.
Really, really good stuff. Learned a lot. Interesting.
I wanted, like you said,
the 3-on-1 off is interesting.
That's a really I know like they do things different up there, right? And I saw it firsthand, when I helped out at the camp down here that he ran. That in itself was oh wow, like these guys are doing a satellite camp, but it's their names on it. It's all of their assistant coaches, and then seeing how those assistant coaches, just everybody was aligned, everybody had the same thought process, and everything, the level of organization and the just in talking to him as a head coach. Like I showed up and he's out there setting up the tent. You know what I mean? Like that's the head coach, right? Like that already, that's eye-opening. Like he's not just pointing fingers, not just telling guys no, dude, he's carrying bags out of the shed. So I knew I wanted to get that perspective on it. And then just the program in general, how I've seen it trend upward from, having players go there, guys that are going to be in the mix this year as juniors and seniors, and, their feedback and whatever. Just knew that the program itself was different. So really wanted to get him on to kind of let me get the head coach's vision, right? Because we've talked to some of his assistants and whatnot, but where is this all coming from? And you see it in how he's done things, how long he's been in it, because to have that many years and not be 50 yet, like that's a whole nother, you know what I mean? Like takes care of himself, man of faith, like all that kind of stuff, like dealing in a high academic type of DU world, which is, two sides of the sword that are, you're really kind of honed in on a certain level of talent or a certain athlete that has to be particular to their place. And we talk about all the time that find the right fit, right? Because who might be on somebody else's big board might not be on theirs, or it might be on his big board, but not on other people. To find the right fit for school takes a process, and they have one. It's transparent. It's laid out. They're going to let you know this is what it is. This is how it is. And then they just go. And it's obviously like the proof is in wins and losses, but it's also in like what their guys do from what they have at their disposal in terms of field stuff, man. I mean, success in every facet of life, which is ultimately like any parent, that's what you want. Like that's what you're looking for. Yeah, the sport is great, but use sport to springboard you into a successful life. And they take that focus. You know, rare, like we don't see head coaches coach linebackers like he does. You know what I'm saying? Like different type of program, different type of approach, but it works. And it works for them.
Yep.
And like I said, like that soccer's for the Northeast, dude. So, you know, to know that you're 45 minutes from Boston, that's amazing. Like that's huge, right?
Yeah.
Like, to know that downtown Manchester is right there, or the beach is right there. It's a lot like Jersey, where you can drive 45 minutes in any direction and get whatever your feel is: beach, mountains, right? Like urban, suburban. Really cool.
Manchester's very nice. Very nice.
A lot of and they've had a really good track record with Jersey, and you know he's very open about that. Like, dude, Jersey's gonna a lot of us, because for Jersey that's away, right? You're 4 hours, 5 hours away. So yeah, mom and dad need to be comfortable with who's coaching my kid. If there's something that happens, he's gonna be taken care of? Yeah, he will. Because if you talk to that guy for 5 minutes, like I'll sign up for that any day. You know.
Well, I love his approach. He's probably also,
and that's before we got to anything X's and O's, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not like we barely talked like real like football shit.
No, I know. Yeah, I guess we're gonna have to. Well, we have to have like a follow-up session that just talks football stuff, so we can break down things.
And look, I watched some coaches.
Dude. Before season, guys don't like to talk too much about the X's and O's that they're playing. After season, like when it ends, I think
like that winter time, like December, January, February. Then it gets into like recruiting segment. Like now it's kind of like, hey, how do we, camp? And dude, the camp thing, I'd love to talk to him about that camp thing a little bit more, 3-on, 1-off, because that's that's, I mean, that goes against everything of any coach running through a training camp does. But
that goes to a lot more of kind of what Tony said, and one, I don't know if it was Tony or one of those guys.
Yes,
said like, dude, optimally, you go hard, then you take off, then you go hard, then you take off. Now he knows that that's not necessarily going to be the case in football, but like if you're thinking about, it's almost like a 2-on, 1 day off, or an easy day type of thing. Like, I mean, I just think about when I first started coaching, when I played, to now how I approach it. And when I watch things, I go, wow, that really was crazy. Like, how could we expect them?
Like how can
optimally
for us, right? Like here we are going double session, like, like how do I expect them to run routes when they're so tired and all they're worried about is, how do I get through this to get survival, right? Like you're just worrying about making it through practice, getting back to your dorm, and taking a nap. How do I expect them to be on point with any of the others, or to when they get off the field worry about taking care of their bodies or doing any of that when all they want to do is they're so tired. How do the hell did we do it? Like that was, I don't know. I mean,
it was a very different time. Like even yours was a different time. Mine was certainly like yeah, you basically, I mean, I'm really trying to think back because honestly I've forgotten a lot, but the stuff that I do remember, I do just like my mind says to me, like all I was thinking was, how do I get to the next thing? That's how I thought. How do I get to the next thing? Now, when you're practicing, you are obviously trying to get better.
Of course. But dude, you're also, like you said, you're just trying to get through.
And I honestly, I tore I would tear. I not tear completely. Every single season, I would tweak my quad in camp. I'd like not that it stopped me from practice. I just wrap it up and keep going. Like
Keep going.
Now I'm at 3/4 speed playing. In camp. I'm sure half the team was the same as me. Like
absolutely, dude. Listen, because we were also a little bit of like, you know what I mean? Like we looked at it like this way. So if we were at that, think about all the guys below us, because we were above the middle of the group. That whole group is already at that, and now some guys that were even you're already at like 75% of your roster is just trying to get through. Like
I can tell you this because this was a fact. I got hurt every single spring ball. Every spring ball, I got hurt. Okay, whether it was near the end, middle, I got hurt every spring ball. I never got hurt in the season, other than my redshirt junior, the last game I think it was the beginning of the second period. I tore my MCL. It wasn't to require surgery. I tore my MCL, but I never got hurt in season. But in spring ball, because I remember they tried to murder you in spring ball back in the day.
Kill you.
I always got hurt, and I always thought when I got hurt, I was like, well, you know what? I might have to start one notch lower on a depth chart in camp, but who cares? Because now I do not have to get myself killed for the next 2 weeks, and then I can get ready for the season. That was because you were in such survival mode if you got hurt and you got knocked out for some reason.
Crazy.
You were almost like, okay, now I can focus on the season. Isn't that a weird?
Yeah, all right, it's a terrible. It's a terrible thought process because
my thought process was like, great, now I can start working out to get ready for the actual season versus
correct.
I'm like, okay, if he drops me to 2 for camp, I'll just win my job back anyway. And if they drop me to 2, it's just to punish me for getting hurt. That's what they did back then.
Yes, because that's literally what they did. Yes.
You got punished, because you got hurt, they dropped you, and then all of a sudden, obviously, you outplayed the guy, which was also not fair to the guy they put in front of you.
100%, because then it was like a false sense of all right, I'm the starter on this, and it's like, no, you're really not, dude. I am this guy back. Here's where we go.
Right. They'd use it as a motivation tactic because they know you'd be mad and pissed off.
Correct. Right.
I remember before my senior year, they said to me, what did I do? I had a bad stinger that I couldn't lift my arm for 2 months. I couldn't lift my left arm, but it came back. They said the doctor said it would probably come back, and then it came back in July or something, and I was all good to go.
Yep.
And by the way, that's how crazy you're just you're just thinking this better come back so I can play. And
correct. That's all you're thinking about.
Yep. I could only lift 10s on my one arm. That's how, because there was no strength in it until the nerve came back. But the crazy part was I remember when he got hurt, and me and the defense coordinator are still good friends this day. But I remember him thinking, well, he's like, we're putting somebody else at 1 with you to start the camp.
1A, 1B.
I'm like, okay, this is obviously just because
you're this is how we're going.
Yeah, I remember, and then immediately I was, and then they moved me to from Will to Sam in camp. The week before, I take that back. I was Will, starting at Will. I got the job, and then the middle linebacker, who was very good, we had a really good middle linebacker, got hurt. They put me in middle linebacker because they didn't know if he'd come back. Okay. I was balling at middle linebacker. I was like, shit, this is really where I probably should have been playing all along because I could just run. I didn't have to worry about the side per se to
you're
control.
Usually, yep. No. You're the free runner. You know what I mean? You're usually the backside guy for cutback or whatever you need to. You know what I mean? It's just a different. Yeah, you're dude. Love it. And it also played to your abilities where it was guys, what are we talking about? I should have been here the whole time. How come nobody else noticed this? What are we doing?
Right. I was the fastest guy in the middle line of the linebackers period in the 40, but by far.
Of course.
So anyway, But we had a really good middle linebacker. That's probably why, because they wanted you all in the same field at the time. So
right, you want the best players on the field. Let me just spot for everybody.
So in like the scrimmage before the first game, like the live game scrimmage,
yep,
I had 14 tackles.
Yep.
So I'm like, okay, this kid's not coming back. I'm going to start the first game. Literally on Monday, we're in the meeting room, and they said, hey, he's going to go. They're going to wrap him up, and I don't remember what his injury was. He's going to go. So now I haven't been playing Will anymore. I've been playing Mike for the last, week and a half, 2 weeks. And I'm like, where am I? I'm like, now that, they work somebody else, they're like, we're going to start you at Sam. I'm like, I haven't played Sam since last year. Because last year, the year before, I was the fourth guy. I started a couple games, but I was the fourth guy, so I played all the positions. And I hadn't played Sam since the year before. And Sam was very different from Will. Sam, you basically like plugging holes, man.
Oh, of course. You're that guy. Like you are downhill right now. You're meant to take on this, so that the Will can make the plays. Yeah,
This was game week now, Derek. Game week. I got moved to Sam. They're like, we need you to start Sam. And Sam also played when they with the tight end. We used to walk up sometimes. You were basically like a defensive end. You walked up over the tight end, right, and played on the edge. So you were an edge guy. So
you're like almost a D lineman.
You can't. Yeah, I mean, listen. I played that year. I played probably 30% of the snaps as the line of scrimmage. To control the edge. When I realized, wow, I would have been a good defensive end. I never thought about it because of your speed. I was like, oh, you're like, I don't want to play D line. I'm a lineman, But I'm like, oh, maybe would have been a good D lineman. But yeah. So, and I didn't have to worry about my weight because I was already up to like 234, 235, just naturally.
Right. Yeah, you're fine. Yeah, that was fine.
I probably could have got to 250 and played DN. But it was so interesting, that thought process. So now you moved. And that's how coaches used to think. Now, they do still sometimes have to do that. But now it's how do we keep you a little more healthy? That's what I'm like what he talked about. Like, how can we keep our better players healthier? Like, that middle linebacker shouldn't have got hurt in camp, right? Like, you know why he got hurt? I'm thinking back. We had this 300 shuttle test that everybody had to run. Okay, this guy was a starting middle linebacker. Everyone knew he was going to be a starting middle linebacker. And he ran it, and I think he tweaked something or something. Now he comes into camp. Like, think about how stupid those things are. That stuff doesn't mean anything for this. So now this guy who was our middle linebacker, and he was very good, played most of the season hurt. Most of the season was hurt because of camp. Like, that's crazy. That's what I think coaches are starting to figure out.
Right.
Like,
well, I think they're seeing, and I always go back to this. Tony Holler just talked about it on his latest episode of Sprint Based, his Sprint Based Football podcast. How coaches are now seeing health. They're seeing that all of the things and the approach that they're taking is allowing guys to stay healthy. That, I think, is opening eyes to coaches in a bigger part because, not everybody has talent all over where a guy goes down, the next guy just goes in, and it's the same level of play. So they're realizing if I do this, my guys stay healthier, and the best availability is the best ability is availability. I can keep the guys that I need on the field with less. And, whereas back in it was, all right, well, those are the good guys. They're going to be good to go no matter what. Crush them, grind, whatever we got to do, and they're still going to rise to the top. And that's not happening anymore. So how do I keep these guys healthy? Well, quality, quantity, full go right now, but rest, do that. So I think that's opening the eyes to people a lot more. But when you look back on it, you're going, how the hell did we survive play at a high level. And if we did it this way, how much more productive would we have been?
Yeah,
or how much better would you have been if that was the approach? But look, it wasn't different type. But I think guys are starting to see it, and it's a big part of it now. I mean, it's what I always look at. Like, how do I keep guys healthy so they can get after it to the level that they need to? If they're not at their best, then we're not at our best, because it's not Jimmy's and Joe's all over the place. I need to have.
My brother said something, like he coached at Johns Hopkins in track, and he said, you can't believe how many he was a distance runner. He said, you can't believe how many high school kids run like 4:10 to 4:15 in the mile. It's insane. I said, well, look how many guys are running. You got 4 or 5 guys that ran under 10 seconds in the 100 meters in high school. And I said, a big part of it is, yes, the technology is better. They all train. All that is true. They have trainers. They have help. All that is helpful. But what they've also done is taking care of their bodies better, and they're recovering better, and they're focusing on performance more in their training than they are about just like even when I ran track. I remember like my father's changed and how he trains guys now versus when I was in high school. He just killed us, dude. He just killed us.
Killed it. It's what we all did.
I'd always be like battling this.
Of course.
You're
like, Dad, I don't want to do Dad, I'm done. Like, I'm dead. Like, you know, and I think for you to have a player like Pomo who was that, right? Like, you literally saw the like, look, this guy could win the 100 meters, but if you do this, he's going to finish last. So what do you got? Yep. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that in itself is a big eye opener, and you're seeing it too. Like, how even the kids that at your age, dude, you know, like even those younger guys that are.
It was funny. I don't remember what the sequence was, but we had a bunch of meets in a week or something. And I remember, because Pomo was like a 22, 23 foot long jumper. He jumped the beginning of the week like 22 feet. And we had practice, then we had another meet. Like sometimes in the track season, you have these weird sequences back then.
Right.
And he went multiple times. At the end of the week, he was jumping 19 something, right? He went down. Okay. And so, you know, like at the end of this, I don't even know what they do now in track, because I'm sure it's way more evolved. But I remember in 2004 or 5, I said to my father, I said, you know, we should never go to a dual meet again.
Ever.
And, you know, like, because when I was in high school, that was kind of fun. Like Saddlebrook versus Glen Rock in a dual meet, like you had a score. It was kind of the football mentality, like you're competing against one. But what happened is it would wear you out, and you wouldn't be good on the big meets, right? The important ones. He'd be done. And he totally won the last season. I remember our AD came in and said, you're forfeiting all of the dual meets. He's like, I'll send shot putters, you know, because it doesn't affect them to throw. I'll send the shot putters and discus guys they could use to practice, but I'm not sending any runners. And he was so pissed off. Like, so pissed off.
I bet.
And my father's just like, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not. And we won the state championship. Like, we won like 2 or 3 state championships that year. And he was like, I'm just not doing it anymore, because the kids are complaining about this and they're complaining about that. And this is hurting and that's hurting. And we're not even practicing anymore. Like, we're going to these dumb meets and
for no reason.
You know, so he's like, I'm not going to do it. And dude, that was when we were exploding with records and stuff that year. And the kids, by the way, once they got over the fact that they weren't going to see their buddy that they wanted to beat against, they'd see him on Saturday anyway. You're going to run against them on Saturday in a big meet anyway. So they got it's such an interesting thing. And that was your time period where you're coming through. That was the big transition.
Yes.
You know, that was your time period when it's still old school, but like new wave stuff. And then, you know, and now obviously it's totally like Tony and them are taken to a whole nother level. And over time, like, they may be wrong in some things. Over time, in the next 10 years, you'll start to see optimal ways of doing things. Dude, I've spent so much time on their spot. I mean, I think they're all involved in a lot of these things to try to figure out how to make some money out of this, but they're not super great at it. But maybe I should give them some consulting on it. But they have like a site where they sell all these equipment, and I go through it and like, there's incredible stuff, Derek. Have you seen some of this stuff?
What, equipment-wise?
Equipment-wise, and then there's these technologies that evaluate NFL and college
everything.
Stuff. It's unbelievable. Like
the access
and the time,
all the stuff, like the access and availability at that level, right? Because at some point, like some of the pricing and stuff, like when you trickle down and whatnot, like, but if you have like, if you're, it all to me comes back to organization and structure and alignment, right? This is how we want to run our team, and these are the things that are going to be important for us. Let's put in place to get this, get that, right? Like for us, the go routes, huge piece of the puzzle, because it alleviates an issue for us in terms of understanding what we need our players to do, how they can do it, right? So you plan this stuff out. Each year you get a budget, you fundraise, you do that. Like we can go and get these things, but it can't be just like, hey, let's get this piece of equipment. Well, what for what? Well, we can use it for this. All right, well, is this a pivotal piece of what we want to do in our program? And is this going to help us get where we go? You know what I mean? There's so much stuff out there now that guys can see and use and make their jobs easier. And the kids are more plugged in when it comes to using certain this and that. Dude, it is awesome to see that kind of stuff, right? But you got to use it right. And and it's amazing, right? Like back in the day, we're seeing here on cards, or we're doing this, or I need this piece of equipment, and it's like, I don't really know. Now you can go, it's right there. Go get it.
Find it on a website and
make it work. It's the best.
You know the treadmill that helps with your turnover, the shred mill. Have you seen it? Like it's very expensive. It's not, it's not
correct.
Really
the price point, right? I get that, right? Because that's everybody's deterrent, right? Well, we can't afford that. All right, maybe you can't now, but if you plan down the road, like I'd love to have every one of my GPSs or whatever to see how fast they're going, how many steps, like what's their, where are they hitting at this point? All right, well, maybe I can't afford 20, but I can get 2 or 3 and then done that process. And then, or I can put something in place where fundraise this, or go get a sponsor to sponsor this, or, there are people within programs that understand everybody's financials and whatnot. But look, like if I get that, we don't only have to use it for football season. The track guy can use it in his season. So let's pool some money and budget from there, right? Or whatever it takes. It's just that stuff that's now more accessible at the lower levels can only aid and help our guys. Like we just pulled together a bunch of money to get a bunch of cold tubs for camp coming up, right? Like found a way, did some research, cool, some money from here, some money from there. Hey, this track, you can use the cold tub, like, athletic training budget. Like, hey, this helps you as well. Because it's now it's across all boards, all sports. All right, cool. Let's go get them. Right. So we're getting a bunch of cold tubs, like 2-man cold tubs. Guys will hop in after practice. We'll have a rotating schedule with it going. Like that stuff's so important now. It's what these kids see anyway. It's what they're looking at. They want to be like whatever they see. And if it's going to help us, let's go make it work. It's just, and to me, like, as a football junkie, like that stuff to me is so cool. Like I love seeing the technology mixed in with a little bit of like, whatever, how can it help us? Like, and it's out there, dude. You can go find anything that'll help you in any way, shape, or form.
No, there's no doubt about it. It's amazing, dude. Like
it's mind blowing, dude.
Like there's so many things that like you'd like to have and do that would fit. And
it's like Christmas morning, dude.
Oh my God, it's unbelievable. Like these 1080 machine. Have you seen this 1080 sprint?
Oh yeah, dude. The 1080 sprints, bro.
The 1080
Awesome.
cable. It generates your like it measures your output while you're using it, and like, but it's
Yes.
so expensive. Like my question is, I know they charge a lot, and I'm sure they sell it mostly to like colleges and stuff.
Right. Guys with budgets.
But can't it be made at a significantly lower cost point that would go to the masses? You know, like a
Well,
like a
remember when something's new, it always comes out at a high price point, right? And then eventually it trickles down once they get, you know what I mean? Like once it all gets kind of
commoditized.
More people start using it. Yes, right? Like look, a lot of people back in the day to have a home computer was a big deal, right? Like a monster flat screen TV was a big deal. Now you can go to freaking Walmart and get a TV for under $100 and you're like, yeah, I got another TV, right? Or like, hey, a Chromebook or an iPad when it first came out was whatever. And then as it becomes something, it lowers, drops down, lesser, whatever it comes to. Like, to me, it's always goes back to like where there's a will, there's a way. If you really want it, you can make it work. Like eventually it'll whatever. So maybe you don't get it this year, but you get it next year or whatever. But a lot of these guys that are putting out this technology or these, tools to help guys, whatever, they built it based off a need that they needed and there wasn't a market for it. But they found a way to make something and go get it. And that's why the price point is so high, is because it's not in mass manufacture mode yet. But once somebody comes in and says, hey, dude, I can make that maybe this way and knock your price point down. That's when it really kind of takes off and that type of stuff. But most of the stuff like the shred mill and all that stuff all came from guys like trainers and stuff that were like, look, I need something that does this, this, and this. Go make it. Somebody figure it out. Somebody smarter than me. Somebody in a different, like somebody with a different expertise. Like, okay, I got it. Now, hey, I made this shred mill. Like, let's go get it. All right. Because damn right, I'd love to have one of those in the freaking weight room.
Oh my God. Yeah, because in the wintertime, even if your kids
especially for us,
basketball or he's playing another sport. Hey, you know what? Listen, you're gonna get in here. We're gonna do 5 short accelerations. We're gonna warm up. Do 5 short. You're gonna be here for 20 minutes, dude.
That's
20 minutes, and then that's all I need, like twice a week. And you get your, you obviously they're probably lifting the ones that can, but like you can get in here and still build your speed, and then obviously the guys you have all the time.
Oh, right? God, look at the benefits that they're getting out of it because they get to use it more. And literally, we just had, a great guest, CC, I want to say Murray, and she's like a high-level trainer that works with all this. She started working with football. Coach, hey, you have to continue to sprint all the time, in season, out of season, right? Because guys are like, no, I want to save their legs. No, they need to sprint. They need to do. Her and the head football coach sat down. He saw the benefits of it after a year of it and was like, hey, how do we incorporate this into season? And she said, all I need is 30 minutes of practice. Give me the warm-up, give me this, and you can have them for the rest of the 2 hours. And the coach was like, all right, done. Same thing. Everybody's been healthy. Guys are hitting PRs in the middle of season, like trending upwards because of that aspect of it, right? Like these little tweaks and changes. Now, yes, do you as a head coach have to, quote, swallow your pride a little bit and, have some blind faith that it's going to work 100%. But it also goes back to like, hey, if you believe, you can believe it into existence. So if you stay on that track of, all right, it's going to work, it's probably going to freaking work, dude. So coaches need to really open their eyes, like let the experts work in their department to help me out here as well. And I think it's really hard for guys because, that's what coaching is, this is my way. This is how we do it. Like allow those people to do what they do too, bro. And now we can really take it to a whole different level. And then when the kids buy in, then it's game over. Because
you watch, like, you guys are doing it more in high school now, but like if you watch my practice with my guys, that's the first 20-25 minutes is dedicated to movement and explosive development. Like yesterday we've done accelerations, like rolling sprints.
Yes.
And then we did accelerations. So we did
flying tens, right? Like, yep. Go into it. That was always a big thing. Like the deceleration aspect of it, I always thought was such a big thing, especially with football for how much stop and go there is. Everybody wants to talk about 40 time and talk about this and talk about that. Like majority of football is stop and go, dude. Right? So even if I'm like running a route, like I'm going to stop at some point. Like I have to stop unless we're running vertical. Like I got to stick my foot in the ground. I got to change. I got to tempo my run, right? Like I got to speed up, slow down, lineman. Like I got to accelerate through it. Like I got to accelerate, but then I may have to decelerate to make sure my head's in the right place or where it needs to be. That aspect of it, I think, is something that's so undercoached that but you can take care of that coaching thing in the first 10 minutes of practice. Like anybody's warm up who's over 10 minutes at this point. Like, dude, you're at like now you're into like that's conditioning. Like what? Stop. Like you don't need to be in a circle doing static stretches. Like, come on, man. Like
do that at the end.
Sprinting in now. That's what I'm saying. That can be that's your cool down, dude. Like right. It's not like, hey, we're running gassers at the end shit or any of that kind of stuff. Like, and understand that like if you want it, like where you want your guys to max out and go full go needs to be done within the hour of practice.
There's
teams should almost be first. Yeah. Like you should almost run your team set the second after you warm up. Now that goes back to you better be in a classroom teaching, right? Because
individually a lot of guys hard, but that's more walk through it. It's like you're
even for my guys as the receivers coach, I have to understand that I want their legs fresh. So even if I'm trying to rep schematics and route combos or whatever we're doing, like, dude, I'm going to put you at the top of the route, right? I'm not making you run vertical ball after vertical ball after you're going to be shot. And now what am I going to get from you the rest of practice? Nothing. I'm not going to get shit because you're going to be so worried about I'm shot from that drill. Now, look, football's different. There is a level of you have to like, you know what I'm saying? Like you have to push them a little bit because there's a little bit of a mental barrier that I want you to fight through. That's but that's coaching something different. Everything has to be this is like it's such an easy fix, dude. Like even when guys, if you want to roll sides of it, like, or different, you don't have to walk them from this side of the route combination to this side. Just spin them around. You're like little shit like that saves guys 50 steps, 100 steps. Like those little things are what we're talking about, but that's a level of attention to detail that most guys either don't want to pay attention to, they're not aware of it, or like, screw it, this is just how we've always done. So if you want to be a really good coach, start thinking about that aspect of it and teaching it and coaching it that way. Same thing with getting the go routes. They don't have to run back to the huddle to look at a fucking card. They can look down at their waist and stay in the same spot. That's saving their legs. Like those little tweaks and things.
On the go route, by the way, I have a go route question. That I have you.
Go ahead.
So I guess I could reshape my card to fit that thing, but they could also kind of scroll up, right? So they could scroll up or down. Yep. So it's not it doesn't fit 100%, right?
And for the most part, like how much of like the little bit that got cut off do they really need to, you know what I'm saying? Like they don't need, like if it's a straight line, it's a straight line.
Right.
Like, come on, buddy. Or, hey, like, this route combination, like, is this, like, just put it, like, you don't need full on it, right? Like, a comeback is at this yardage. I don't know.
You just draw, right? You just draw.
I just draw it, like, because the reading takes, another 5 seconds or 10 seconds or whatever. Like, that's where I can just coach them and be like, hey, make sure you're at 10, right? Like, that's where you're still coaching aspect of coaching. Right. Yes. It's not just, and the kids, they're going to respond to that, but it also teaches them a little bit of like, hey, I got to listen while I look. Like, I got to do two things at once because look, we're going fast, dude. So you better be looking to the sideline for the signal or looking down at your whatever as I'm making something within the play as you're moving, like when we do it, like if we're going one defense against scout offense, like we move the ball. So my guys are, running to the ball, looking down at the go route and listening to me at the same time. Like, I want them to be able to multitask like that. And it's, for everybody to be able to do that, it takes some time for guys to get into that mode. But once they're in it and realize, like, all right, I got to do a lot of this stuff, like, it only helps them,
Right.
To it. That's awesome. Now, Texas-wise, with what they're using, right, and because they're not using the Go Route Scout, right, they're not using like what we have, which is basically, our phones on a wristband. They're using what's more like Apple Watch-ish. That's not pictures, that's words.
See, yeah, I think they're going to have to eventually get
100% right here, and it'll come, guaranteed. As these guys, and look, like you said, there's a lot of people that are a lot smarter than we are, whatever. And as coach that feedback from Texas, like, hey, we need this, or how do we make this work within it? It's just going to continue to develop and only get better. And other states are now going to start to be okay. They'll be on board with it. I don't know if we'll ever get to, speakers in the helmet where we can talk to the guys like the NFL and it'll shut off at a certain time because everyone's got play clocks that are different or whatever. And just technology in general. But that's what I'm saying. Like, I've been looking down at a wristband since freaking year 2000, for Christ's sakes, dude. Like, and that wasn't pictures. That was the play wording. Like, so I'm reading while running. And yeah, like, holy shit. And look, and our play calls were very short. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we're play calls. Some of these guys, like I've told you about, when I went to Bosco, I mean, we're talking about paragraphs of what it was. And it was like, holy shit, dude. Like, we're down on the play clock, like, and we're still calling a play because this is the verbiage. Like, we don't need to do this. Like, these guys are smarter than that. We don't have to freaking tell every position what they're doing. Tag something off of it with a kill and then this. No, there's no need, dude. Simplify it.
I know.
Let's make it easy.
Yeah, no, I know.
Plus, with coaching, I think, and this is, look, you can say what it's like, knock on the younger generation of how these guys are coming up as coaches. Like, they don't understand that shit. Like, they just don't, because they've been raised on looking down at a play card, like, making it easy for them. They've never had to memorize shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we had to memorize a fucking playbook, dude, that was this thick, and like, you had to know. And if you didn't, like, you just didn't play. And coaches realized real quick, like, that's why, like, some of these guys that were crazy athletes, like, never got on a field because they couldn't memorize the playbook. So, like, shit, I need my best player on the field. How do I make it easier? Like, we do it. Like, it is what it is. Like, I got to get the guy on the field. Let's make it easy for him. Okay. So there's the younger generation, and they've grown up on Madden. They've been looking at a play card and a play sheet forever. That's all they know, right? Like,
they're not even looking at the name of the play. They're looking for the specific play that does what they want them to do.
Correct. 100%. Like, they couldn't tell you, like, hey, I want to do this, this, and this. All right, called this. They wouldn't know what it was called. They're like, oh, well, this guy does that. This guy does that. Like, they could draw it. They couldn't write a name on it. Like, like, if we gave a test that was only words and then said you draw it, like, here's the play call, draw it, I don't think they could do it. But if I gave it the other way and said, here's the play, right, like, they would understand that. Like. Yeah. Correct. Yeah. Like, okay. All right.
That's exactly how the world is. So anyway, let's roll. We're back Friday, right?
Friday with Coach Steve Fentz from New Egypt High School.
That should be great. Good. All right, look forward to another great pod. A lot of viewership as always on the live. Wow, we're really doing good.
Check
man.
out St Anselm, fellas. Check out St Anselm. That's a freaking hell of a school too, buddy. Like, goddamn, we've had 2 academic schools in 2 days.
It's good. It's good. Till Friday. We will see you then.